You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
The power sweep actually is the lead play in our offense. We ask our YN or a tight end to open up somewhere between 6 feet and 9 feet to get an isolation with the linebacker. Tell the tackle to take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, to drive down on the first man to his inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Email us PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. Text us 865-658-5824. I happened to glance right down at the chat and seen AFAM, and all I seen was thick with 2 C's, and I almost busted out laughing doing the intro. So anyway, appreciate you go ahead and bringing that up. He says, Clayton, a little late. He's
thick.
All right, here we go. All right, we can put this up. I had to double check. AFAM said Clayton a little late. He's busy trying to mash up "He's Thick" into the Home Depot song. Bro,
thick.
We got to make that happen.
Yeah,
so
I got you.
That.
We need to make that happen.
The DJ formerly known as Tim, is gonna put that together. So
yeah, I'll get it hooked up. Don't worry about it. We'll make it happen. Just for AFAM.
All right. Well, obviously, we're joined alongside Tim live in Green Bay. We got Emilio down here in Tennessee. Emilio took a little hiatus, been celebrating an anniversary. Congratulations on that, buddy. How long you guys been together?
We've been engaged a year, together for 8. So
8. Cool. Good deal, man. Good.
I know, Clayton. I know we waited a little bit, but no, we had to get through college and everything. So
I waited 6 years, man. Mandy gave me a look one day like, I'm about to bounce. I was like, all right, let's do this.
So he said, all right, yeah. No, I mean, I had the plan. I already had it.
Exactly. Oh, man. All right, well, let's kind of dive into some Packers talk here. We got several different topics we can hit on. I've been holding this 5th-year option article forever, or information forever. We may hit on it by the end, but we had some cool stuff kind of come down the pike here. First of all, let's start it off with a little Packers Daily video from Packers.com. It's just kind of a rookie minicamp recap, if you will. It's Wes Hodkiewicz putting together some good stuff here. Just a little kind of a highlight reel, if you will, from rookie minicamp, as well as just a few nuggets here on the backside. And then we'll get into some Adam Stenovich press conference, as well as Greg Cosell, actually on the Ross Tucker football podcast today, or yesterday, I believe it was, mentioning Javon Bullard. So that was kind of cool. We've also got a question from, who is it? My boy, Randy Clavers from the Patreon group as well. So we'll hit on that too. But let's do this. Let's roll this Packers Daily video real quick.
Just good to get them in the building to start to form a relationship with these guys and find out what they're all about and try to push them to be their best. You want to see everything they do, from the meeting room to on the field, and how they compete. It makes it a lot more fun too when you're working with guys that want to put in the work, that are willing to do all the little things.
Coming in here being as fun, soaking up all this knowledge, and so just coming in here with my head down, ready to work, control my attitude and my effort, and trying to get better every day, but also elevating all the people around me.
Learning my teammates, learning the playbook, and just learning how the Green Bay way is.
You're in the same shoes that everybody else, no matter what round you got picked or wherever. So I'm just putting myself in the same shoes that everybody else, and just fighting to get a job.
This is a very good educational experience for them in terms of just how we practice, the standards that we have. So hopefully they have a better chance to acclimate faster when they get back with the vets.
Rookie minicamp was the Packers' debut of sorts for this year's freshman class. But we also got to see Jeff Hafley on the grass for the first time, running the show on defense.
It's been great just to see how he interacts with the guys, giving them the why behind everything we're doing, showing the guys how teams are going to attack us. And then he does a good job of wanting to get to know these guys and build a relationship with them.
And it's not about the scheme right now. It's about the players. It's about our job maximizing their ability. And now that we see what we have, we got to make sure we do that. And that's why we love coming to work every day right now. I mean, for me, it's just football again. And this team is driven right now. And that's not saying we're going to do this or we're going to do that down the road, but if you come in and you're doing what these players are doing every day, you got a chance. So I'm fired up about that.
There you go. Obviously, Jeff Hafley kind of stole the show this week. As far as the coaches go, we hit on a few of his comments from his presser.
Thick.
Pretty cool little video that we put together there, that Packers Daily put together, so we appreciate them. Obviously, go give it a like, a share, a follow, all that good stuff on X and YouTube. Love Wes Hodkowitz, man. He's one of my favorites for sure. So as rookie minicamp wraps up and Emilio tries to hold it together here all night, how are we feeling coming out of rookie minicamp, this first one here, Tim?
Feeling good, especially about our DC. I like what Coach LaFleur said there, about him taking the time to get to know the guys. And then, Coach Half following it up with saying it's not about scheme right now. It's about the players. And, I love that. I really do. You would think a new DC coming in trying to do an install would be all about scheme, all about X's and O's. And, they're going to be doing that on the daily. That comes with the territory. I think it says something to take time and try and connect with some of these players. You've brought that up plenty of times. You got to get their hearts, and they'll go to war for you every time. So it's good to see our DC out there with the guys first look, feeling good.
Definitely. Emilio, I know you've been a little bit out of the loop here, but have you been able to keep up at all with the rookie minicamp?
I haven't really kept up with the camp. I've been listening to the pod. I've been out of it.
You haven't learned a damn thing from us, I promise.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, well, that's the problem. I'm still at ground zero. I listen to 6 hours of pods and I'm still But no, for real though. I mean, my senior year in high school, we switched offensive coordinators. And dude, we were running a wing tee, like pull everybody, try to like put the quarterback in his blocking and everything. It was terrible. He was like, as long as you get it down, like every play is the same, it'll be, no problem. It was bad, dude. We lost every game except one. So it was the murmurs that happen behind the scenes are incredible, right? So like something like that can, after the first 3 weeks, you're like, all right, man, I'm done. Why did we even do this? Let's just run. We should be running 5 wide right now. We got athletes, this, and that. And I'm happy that Hafley doesn't have any of that, right? He's getting them, like you've been talking about, from the ground up. I'm going to show you every nook and cranny of where I'm looking. And I don't care if we're, 3 days behind, 3 weeks behind. Like the game doesn't start now. We can, if you got a question, ask it. If something's behind, let me know. But I'm really excited on where they're heading with Hafley, leading that charge.
Yeah. Coach LaFleur said, like, telling the guys the why, explaining why,
Absolutely.
We're doing these things. I think that helps people buy in a lot quicker, especially young players.
Right.
It's what's wrong with the educational system today. And it's, hey, memorize this. Have it memorized by Friday, and we'll give you a good grade, rather than understanding here's why you need it. Here's how you're going to apply it in life. I think the biggest issue there is with education today is a good chunk of that stuff you're not going to apply in life. And it's just people trying to make money off of teaching, rather than, the overall goal. And I'm not saying everybody or even the majority is like that. It's just wild to see how many people come out of college today and they're not even using their degree. And it's like, you literally talk the kid into wasting money. It just, I don't know, man. Kind of feels like one of those pyramid things. I ain't gonna lie.
I'm not technically using my degree right now, so
right.
Mods and landscaping technically isn't what I went to school for, but
right.
I agree, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. Again, you should find what people are passionate about, right? What do you want to do with your life? All right, now let's build a game plan on how we can get you the most prepared to succeed in that field. Not, all right, let's make sure you do exactly what I say, and if you win me over, then I'll pass you.
And speaking of game plan, prepared to get them on the field, same exact thing happens with these rookies. Listening to Lombardi on the GM Shuffle, Zach Wilson probably was a decent pick.
Right.
His preparation, his plan, everything that they had lined up for him on the Jets side was the issue, right?
Yeah.
We got 11 dudes in here. We need to have a plan for each individual one of them. Like you said, we need to have goals. We need to have milestones. We need to have preparation and plans for them to succeed, to be able to get better as a player, as a person, all that. And like you were saying, you're doing them a disservice if you don't get them set up on that sort of a plan. Not that it has to be, step A, B, C, and D, but we need to have an idea where this is heading, where we want to get this guy. Or, is he just going to be a special teamer, or do we want him to be an all-pro? Does he have that potential? How can we get him there?
Yeah, it's so important, man. And I love what Lombardi said. We listened to the same pod. He's like, the GM, the evaluator, needs to put this game plan together, right? And the coaches have to buy in and like, okay, here's what he does well. Here's what he doesn't do well. That's what the scouting report says. All right, so let's do phase one. Let's try to get to this milestone and get better at this, get better at that. Zach Wilson was thrown in a situation where it was impossible to succeed. It was just a dumpster fire.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you bring in Nathaniel Hackett, last year to have Rodgers run that type of offense that they ran, which is essentially a good chunk of just RPO, right? That's what we ran when Hackett was here. And, to Rodgers and Hackett's credit, he won 2 MVPs doing it. The problem was in 2022, you've seen defenses catch up to it. And what I mean by that, go back and watch the way Detroit played Aaron Rodgers his last year in Green Bay. It was literally they were faking him out on the RPO and dropping back in the passing lanes and batting the ball down, right? And Rodgers didn't have an answer for it. So you take Nathaniel Hackett to the New York Jets, and he tries to implement that same system. And yes, it's great for Rodgers. He's going to be able to succeed. Rodgers goes down. Guess what? Zach Wilson isn't ready, right? And he was never ready. They just did a horrible job trying to prepare it, man. It's just crazy. Coach Lynn says that's why Amari Rodgers didn't work out for that exact reason. Kind of feels like that. They were trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, Yep. It was, you're going to be a punt returner. It's like, the dude isn't a punt returner.
Right.
Like, how many muff punts do you got to see? I felt bad for him, man. Week in and week out, I'm like, God love him. He's obviously not good at returning punts, and they're trying to force him to do that. It's mind-boggling.
What should have been on that dude's list? Where have we actually should have put Amari Rodgers for him to be able to succeed in this league, on this team, to get better, things like that.
Well, we could have stuck him in the slot. We were wasting time with Allen Lazard, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We wanted that big slot, right, Tim?
Yeah, I guess.
That he could block, but he could not hit the ball.
Thick.
Exactly.
That we did. We had a big slot, so he was thick, but man.
Oh man, I'll tell you, it's but I love what Lombardi said though, because it pulls the curtain back a touch.
Yeah.
And explains, okay, here's how successful organizations put these. A good example was Jordan Love. If Jordan Love had been put in that same exact situation with the New York Jets, I don't think he succeeds. I just don't. Like, you look at everything that was put around him offensively and how just everything was out of sync. It was horrible. Like, I don't think there's any way that Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, or any of these, really good quarterbacks. And I kind of put Brock Purdy and Jordan Love in that same tier. I feel like they're very good quarterbacks on the verge of being great, because Brock Purdy's basically done it 2 years now. Obviously with Jordan Love, he did it for 9 games, but those 9 games, he was arguably the best quarterback in football. So it's like played kind of average the first half of the season, played lights out the second half of the season. I put him kind of in that very good column right now. So I'm excited to see those two duel for the next however many years. I think it's going to be the San Francisco-Green Bay rivalry is going to be alive and well for sure.
In that clip up, it was rookie minicamp, you said, right? In that clip up, Keyshawn was in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I love that even the veterans are there. Who cares, man? If we're practicing, if I can show up, if the PA allows it, I'm in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they're not allowed to participate in the activity for rookie minicamp, but obviously Jordan's in the building. And,
right. Stretching, running around. I mean, even if you're stretching and running the track as they're, you hear everything, you hear in the calls, they know everything, but why not get a look at, hey, who else is on our team now? Who are these new studs rolling in?
Yeah, and everybody was talking about how Jordan reached out to him, right? All the rookies. And you've got these players hearing Coach Hafley talk about Xavier McKinney reaching out to the young players, all that, right? It's a really, really cool, I don't know, just environment they're creating. This is a pretty cool shot right here. The Packers tweeted this out, said, "Hey, Peyton Manning and Jordan Love," waving emoji. So this happened last year, but like Tim pointed out to me before we went live, it happened in training camp. And immediately I thought, what the hell's Peyton Manning doing at Lambeau? Is this going to be quarterback, the documentary quarterback? Right. Well, this year, Tim, it's May 7th, May 6th that he was there. So what do you think? What's your best guess, Tim, on why Peyton's there? Do you think it's just a visit to the greatest shrine in the history of football, or what?
No, there's motive behind it. Come on now.
Got to be something, right?
Come on. Especially, I mean, maybe last year you have that argument, right? Like, oh, Peyton stopped by to check out camp, say hi to the staff, shake hands, kiss babies, sign autographs, that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Well, May, what's going on? And clearly he was here to see Jordan Love. Maybe say hi to Mark Murphy and some of the brass. But no, I think there's something there. I think he's trying to get somebody to sign something, to film something, perhaps. I don't mind it, but I secretly hate it.
As long as the answer
I secretly hate it. Leave my QB1 alone. We got a Super Bowl to win, man.
Yeah.
No distractions. Talk to us after we bring Lombardi home. Then you can have Jordan for your documentary.
Tim, he's already lining up his week 1 Monday Night Football gas. That's what he's doing.
Probably.
He said, once you're done in Brazil, I need you back over here in the studio.
There you go.
It's my quarterback.
T.O. That's right. Since we're on the offensive side of the ball here, why don't we stay there? And then we'll get to the other comments here in a minute. We've got about a 15-minute long press conference from Adam Stenovich. And we won't listen to the whole thing, but I'd like to catch a couple of pieces here or there and just get your all's take on it as we do it in real time. Maybe we'll just do 5 minutes of it or what have you. But I know there's been a lot of offensive line talk. A lot of people, Tom Silverstein had come out in the last I think in the last 24 hours and made a comment about how he doesn't expect, if I understood correctly, the story essentially was saying he doesn't expect the offensive line to change this year, as far as more specifically at the center position. And people immediately respond and go, well, Rob Domofsky said they was. That's not what Rob Domofsky said. He said next year, right? He's been very adamant about that. Sometimes as fans, and I know I'm as guilty as anyone, we hear what we want to hear, right, rather than what we actually hear. But this is Adam Stenovich, obviously, from the presser yesterday. And I think it was yesterday, yeah. Let's just kind of see if we, again, as he hits each answer, if it's something relevant, we'll just stop it. You guys can speak up and say, hey, Clayton, I want to comment on this. But we'll go around the horn a couple of times. Here we go. Here's offensive coordinator Adam Stenovich, who met with the press yesterday.
Jordan was kind of the unknown. I'm sure he had a lot to prove to himself, to you guys, and the rest of the world. Is Jordan any different here 12 months later?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Just to see how much he's grown over the last year has been awesome. Fun to just be around him, watch him grow as a leader, as a player, and really take those big steps that he did last year to get us where we went. I'm expecting more of the same. Him coming in, he's done a great job so far, so it'll be fun watching him improve this year.
Same mentality, same leadership qualities, kind of the behind-the-scenes stuff. Has any of that changed?
No, same guy. That's the best thing about Jordan. He comes into work every day. He's the same guy, and just ready to be the best player that he can be and help the team be the best that they can be. So he never wavers from that. It's fun to watch.
How different is it to build an offense right now compared to a year ago?
Oh, it's night and day. It's night and day because, like last year going into the draft, we had maybe 3 receivers on the roster. We had 2 tight ends on the roster. So it was just one of those things where you didn't really know what direction you could go yet because you didn't know who's going to be on your team and what skill set they had. And even going into camp and going into the season, it was the same deal, like how much can you put on these guys' plates and allow them to go out and execute. So now everyone has a year under their belt, so to speak. It's been great to just know what these guys are good at, what they need to improve on, and just allow them, to just go ahead and be the best players that they can be.
So you basically pick up from where you left off with that resurgence later
Yeah.
this season?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're just coming in, and I wouldn't say everyone's just got to have the same mindset of improving, starting from the foundation, but then being able to, take those steps faster than we did last year and really improve a lot.
really for much of the year last year, but you still had him around at times. What's it like just, with him not here anymore?
Yeah, I mean, it's always sad when stuff like that happens. Obviously, he was such a huge part here for such a long time, and a phenomenal player and phenomenal leader.
We all have smartphones, and we all know they're pretty amazing, but they also can be amazingly distracting, especially when we're around other people. So US Cellular wants us to reset our relationship with our phones by putting down our phones for $5. That's right, a company that sells phones wants us to put down our phones. And to see what we find, learn more at uscellular.com/built for us. In the hobby, it's not easy being a fan of ripping packs or repacks. We get all hyped up thinking we're going to get some high-value Jordan Love card, but with zero transparency on available cards and hit rates, it's all just a shot in the dark. Until now, introducing slab packs from arenaclub.com, the only repack that provides real value, a complete view on all possible cards, and clear hit rates for each one. Now when I buy slab packs on Arena Club, it finally feels like I know what I'm getting. And honestly, the best thing for me and my son is the fact that we're kind of novices into this. When I walk into a card shop with my son, and a card says it costs $40, kind of just taking his word for it that that's a good value. So I appreciate the transparency on grading, as well as just getting excited about seeing what you could potentially get. Right now, you can get 10% off your first purchase by going to arenaclub.com/packdaddy. Wow, that's crazy offer. 10% off a $400 slab pack. That's $40 right there. Anyways, that's arenaclub.com/packdaddy for 10% off your first purchase. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply.
Have you ever experienced turbulence on a flight and wondered why?
And you can see all the terrain around you. You've got no issue with visibility or anything?
No, everything's PG.
Maybe you've sat on the tarmac for hours wondering why your plane isn't moving.
Well, we're outside here. They're saying the ramp is closed. They won't let us park because of Air Force One.
Listen in on the conversations between pilots and air traffic controllers on the Air Traffic Out of Control podcast.
512 Whiskey declaring an emergency. There's smoke in the cabin. I need to make a landing right now on 31 left.
We have the most interesting, wild, and funny ATC recordings you will ever hear. Check out Air Traffic Out of Control wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
So it's just been different. Like last year, other guys had to step up and basically take the room over. And that's where you saw guys like Elton and Josh Myers really, just become the leaders of the room. So that was fun to watch from that aspect. Obviously, losing David wasn't fun. But that's one thing about football. You just got to move on and play with the guys you have and make the best of it.
I understand you guys are going to cross-train Jordan Morgan eventually throughout this offseason. He seems to really want to play at left tackle. What have you seen early on that make you think he can be a good left tackle?
Yeah, he's got good movement skills. Just watching him out there, he's natural on the edge. He looks comfortable out there. There's obviously some technique stuff we got to clean up, just like anybody. But, I'm excited to work with him and just watch him and see, I wouldn't say he's a tackle. I wouldn't say he's a guard. I just want to see where he fits best for us and with our best five out there. So that may be a tackle. It might not be. But I'm excited to work with him and just see you can see his athleticism when he's out there. He's a pretty talented guy.
He's thick.
He is thick. So appreciate everybody in the chat making fun of my head. So they're off the rails. I love it, dude. Hey, let me tell you something. It's funny because it's true.
Oh, man.
But anyways, as far as what he said about Jordan Morgan there, listen, it's really, 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 really early, right? But how do we see it? Like, do we just kind of reading the tea leaves here? He sounds pretty confident in his ability to play the edge, right? kind of feels that way. Do you guys agree with that or no?
Mm-hmm. Seems that way.
I think so.
It's early, but it sure looks like that's the case right now.
Yeah, and the other thing too, talking about the versatility, the quickness, right? I think he's legit got a shot to play any position on the line other than center, right? Because the feet, that's the biggest thing, right? Is getting someone who's got the athleticism that they can pull in those certain situations. They can play each individual spot on the offensive line. Now, the thing about Jordan Morgan and being a rookie is like he's obviously most comfortable playing left tackle. If I had to put money on it right now, I hate to say this, but I'm going to. If I had to put money on it right now today on May 7th, I would say I would not be surprised if the line stays healthy, if Jordan Morgan sits the majority of his rookie year. I could see that happening. That was kind of in the works for Brian Bulaga, obviously, when he came in because he couldn't really beat Mark Tauscher out for that right tackle spot. And then eventually Mark Tauscher got hurt. I heard him and Wildy talking about that. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Maybe it was Friday. And just talking about if it hadn't been for that, Bulaga probably wouldn't have got thrust right in away immediately because he couldn't really beat Tauscher out for the job. So I think we do got to kind of pump our brakes a little bit on Jordan Morgan simply because I could see it being something where, hey, he's lying in the way. And that's the other thing too, Amelia. There's going to be injuries. Like, guys are going to get banged up on the offensive line. The question is, can Jordan Morgan plug in at right guard? Can he plug in, at left tackle? Is he going to be ready to go day one, right?
Mm-hmm. No, well, that, and on top of it, he's going to be second-team reps immediately. So it's not like he's going down and not doing anything. Even if he's not first string, he's going to be getting reps at left tackle. He's going to be practicing that. I honestly think he will be all right. But like you said, I mean, if we're going to give veteran, if it's Iowa and we got the seniors playing, maybe we're going to let Rashid play that first game, see how it goes, and go from there. Unless there's just a blatant difference in the offseason. But we're not going to know that. Like you said, right now on May 7th, we have no idea, honestly, where that depth chart's going to be. But it's cool to see that they are working. They do like him out there. He's getting practice out there. That's awesome to see. That's why we spent that first-round pick on him, so let's see it.
Yeah, definitely. AFAM in the chat said, Morgan has too much athleticism. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to keep him on the bench. I'm just simply looking at what the Packers have kind of done in the past, Although, David Bakhtiari, what was he, a fourth-round pick? And he just absolutely took that left tackle spot, right?
Right.
He stepped up and stepped into that role and never really gave it back until the end.
Took him a minute to win it, though. It wasn't instantaneous. Right. Even Bakhtiari was a work in progress for a while. So, I like what Steno said too. Ultimately, the goal is the best five on the line, right?
Right.
Regardless of where they're playing, it's who's the best, and let's get them out there as often as possible.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say too that like Jordan Morgan, he said he wants to play left tackle. He wants to protect Jordan Love's blind side, right? But he also specified that he's okay playing everywhere else, right? Like, so it's not like he's coming in as a rookie like, no, I'm going to be the left tackle. He's simply saying like, hey, guys, trust me, I can handle this, right, type thing. So
that's a team player, right? So, I mean, if they need a sixth man, if we're going to go, offset, heavy formation, whatever, immediate, right? So, I mean, I really am – I think he's going to do well. It's just a matter of time until it comes to fruition.
If Josh isn't working out at center or we're having issues again, then we very may well see Big E go to center and then Jordan Morgan go to left guard, right? I mean, that could be a scenario.
And I mean, and think about it, like Clayton, when you were a player, dude, if that second baseman, you were second string, right? That second baseman wasn't cutting it, but that's your spot. Dude, the catcher is even worse. Clayton's hopping in there at catcher, right? You know what I'm saying? You want to be out on the field. You want to go play. That's why you played this sport since you were a kid.
Yep.
So if there's a spot open, let's get on there. Let's play it. I can play any position, whatever, dude. If they needed a new long snapper, I bet Jordan Morgan would be the first one lining up. See what's on the field.
Yeah.
So,
no doubt, man.
Jordan Morgan said, "I can return punts."
Give him a shot. Everybody, when in high school, when everyone got in the line, you know what I'm saying? Everybody got to kick a field goal just to see if we had any stars, see if we had any Tims in the stands.
Hilarious. Greg Rice in the chat said, "Who's calling offensive plays this year?" I have no reason to believe it's not going to be Matt LaFleur. I think that's Matt LaFleur's bread and butter. I know there was a little bit of conversation last year about possibly switching up, and all it was someone asked him, you wouldn't really give up play calling, would you? He said, I would if it helped the team, essentially is what he said. But there's no way. That's with coaches, you've got coaches that are kind of developmental coaches, and you've got play caller coaches. The great coaches can do both, right? Matt LaFleur is definitely a play caller coach. I think he called the best passing game in the entire National Football League last year. Like some of the stuff that he was mixing and matching together. And we heard about a few things that got kind of caught on the fly with the tight ends coach. Just a suggestion to Matt. I think it was in the Pittsburgh game, if I remember. I can't remember which game it was, but just little stuff like that. Or no, maybe it was Dallas. Everything's blurring together. But it's just, again, I think Matt LaFleur is going to call plays. You guys agree, disagree with that?
I agree. I agree. I don't see a reason for him not to.
Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, that's it, because every time we saw Jordan come off the field, you want the play caller to be talking to him, every time. He goes over to Matt, they figure it out. They've had that chemistry. Why are we going to change that up?
Yeah, definitely. Randy Cleaver's in the chat said Matt is an offensive genius. I mean, he doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion, man. And again, I had to kind of hold back a little bit last year because it's like, hey, listen, it was Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. So we haven't seen him without an MVP caliber quarterback. Lo and behold, he takes a first-year starter, and the dude just absolutely lit it up in the second half of the season. So I'm just excited to see Matt LaFleur's winning percentage continue to rise and put him in the upper echelon there as far as winning percentage, not just amongst active coaches, obviously, but all time. I mean, he's right up there towards the top in winning percentage. Really, really cool.
And he can start actually getting some respect for it. I think it was Ryan that was talking about it, but like, how's the dude not getting any respect? And it was always Aaron Rodgers, and now it's Matt's turn. Like, all right, come on now. Like, he was still on the team.
Yeah. 2-0 for this says the fact that there's not been one time I can't see because not one time been a finalist for Coach of the Year. It's absolute blasphemy. Sounds like my man Stephen A. Smith there. It's and again, it was because he had Aaron. That was the big thing, right? Well, you got Aaron Rodgers. How hard is it? Last year, like turning that team around, the youngest team in the league. Come on, man.
Yeah, he's got another MVP caliber quarterback. I'll just go ahead and say it.
Yeah. If he continues what he did the second half of the season, there's no doubt, Tim.
Yep.
If he had done the entire season what he did in the last 9 weeks, he would have been the MVP. That's wild to think about. All right, let's go back to Stenovich, see what else he's got here.
Do you think, to get his hands better? I saw a bunch of clips, and they were almost always out there. Is that something that can be done in a matter of weeks, or is that months, or is that years?
I think it'll take a little bit of time, but if you're intentional about it, to really focus on improving things like that, I think he can get that fixed.
Do you know why he did it that way? Did they not teach inside techniques?
Yeah, no, I'm not sure what he was coached in the past, so it's just something we'll just have to work on here.
Would you like to keep Elton and Zach at left guard and right tackle, even though they can play any of the 5 spots, just so they can focus on one thing?
Yeah, I mean, the fun thing about where we're at right now with the O-line is you can look at it, and there's a lot of different combinations of guys, whether tackle, guard, center, whoever, that you can move around and still have a pretty good O-line. So I'm excited to kind of see how it all shakes out. Obviously, I think Elton's best position is guard or center. And then Zach, he seems to be pretty good on the edge at right tackle. So we'll kind of see how it all shakes out. And you got other guys in there who are going to be fighting for spots too. So it's going to be a pretty interesting battle.
Talking about Jordan's athleticism, Morgan, have you ever
That's one thing we got to make sure. Jordan Morgan or just Morgan. Yeah.
Have you ever come across an offensive lineman that intentionally was given the opportunity to return a kick like he was in high school? I mean, have you ever seen that?
No, I have not. I've seen some linemen, like you see guys in high school play like field hockey or normal hockey and stuff like that. You're like, wow, that's pretty impressive at 300-some pounds. But, yeah, no, that was pretty crazy.
Speaking of the offensive line, fascinated by how you feel where you're at, because you lose 3 guys who played a hell of a lot of football for you.
Yet you've got a group of 5 that I would think that if you had to play a game tomorrow, you'd feel pretty good about that 5-some. And yet you've also added a first-round pick. So how do you, aside from just the flexibility and the versatility, how do you kind of feel about that mix right now, your options?
Yeah, very excited about it. I think, it's just a matter of putting the best group out there. And there's a lot of different combinations, like I said, that, we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. And that's one thing we always are pretty intentional about, is working guys at multiple positions just to kind of see where they fit best. So I think that's kind of what we'll be doing in OTAs in the early part of camp.
Man, I'll tell you, camp is going to be so much fun, man. They're going to have these guys mixing and matching at all these different spots. There's going to be camp battles galore. Competition is going to be as high as it's ever been. You're going to have one again. I think we're the youngest team in the league, if I remember correctly. So it's just wild to think that, looking at the way the team was built last year, if you had said last year going into training camp that, hey, next year we're going to be even younger, I would have went, what? How? Right? Here we are. That's pretty cool, man. And obviously capitalizing on those rookie contracts, which Ryan did an excellent job on his, I think it was his latest pod that I listened to earlier today, just kind of talking about hitting on that a little bit and how much money it truly does save by hitting on some of these later round picks. And again, as long as you're not picking in the top 5, it all really applies for sure. So, all right. So that was Adam Stenovich. Just wanted to hit on a little bit of that. Again, get to some of the offensive line comments. Big thing I'm taking away there is just a ton of competition. Go ahead, Emilio.
Thing I took away was he said that he liked Elton at guard or center.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't mind putting Elton there at center. I know we've talked about bringing Tom inside, but I think he does feel more comfortable in Tom staying outside. So I wouldldn't mind that. Elton's a smart dude. I would love to have him in there. I think, we've seen him rep it before. He always takes reps, on the sideline at that. And him and Jordan are probably, tight after this. So I would be fine with that 100%.
That's exactly what I said a couple of days ago, wasn't it, Tim? If I had my choice, I'd want Elton Jenkins at center.
Yeah, and I agree. I want Zach Tom to stay at right tackle.
And throw Monk over there, whatever, left, right guard. And
it's tough, though, because, Tom and Jenkins are clearly our two, probably our best O-linemen, and then also the most versatile. So it's tough because you want to move those pieces around.
So, let me ask you, Tim, would you rather have the 2 edges in the center solidified in dogs, or would you rather have the wedge of the center and 2 guards as dogs, and then maybe leave the edges?
If you asked me last year, I would say the edges, just because of the zone run and a lot of the outside zone that we ran with Jones. But now we got some battering rams in our backfield. So
right.
I feel like, shoring up that interior might do us a little more service in the run game. But, I'll say this. I don't care what Steno does. Just put the best 5 out there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I want to see him moving downfield, not moving backwards. We're going to have an offensive line that's going to dictate business this year. I got a feeling. So
Eric Sutherland coming in here hot tonight. He says Jenkins at center and Myers with the Vikings. Sounds perfect. Here's the thing. I don't see any scenario where Myers isn't the starting center this year.
Right.
I really don't, so what I would like to see is, with Jordan Morgan getting more reps, obviously all of his college reps at left tackle. And someone had asked in here too, let me hit this real quick before I forget. M. Smitty said Elton, I do believe, plays some center at college. I think he played the large majority of at college. Because, I remember when they drafted him, I remember thinking, all right, we got us a center. And then all of a sudden you're popping him over to guard, But that's what the Packers like to do for sure. But, on the surface, it kind of feels like whoever wins the battle for left tackle, Rasheed Walker or Jordan Morgan. Now, Jordan Morgan's got, shorter arms. Greg Cosell talked about that earlier today. And people can scoff at it and laugh at it. It's not to say that guys can't play tackle at the NFL level with shorter arms when you're talking about an inch or two, right? But, the same thing was said about Bullard, and Bullard turned out just fine, right? They tried to kick him to guard. Hearing him talk about that in camp, they put him at guard, and they're like, no, this ain't going to work. Put him back to tackle. So some people just think, oh, you can automatically take a left tackle and play him at guard. That's definitely not the case. Everybody's it's a case-to-case basis. But on the surface, though, whoever wins left tackle, I'd like to see the other one play left guard is kind of how it feels. once if you were to move Elton to center. And then by that time, you should have right guard shored up as well. But yeah, I'm with you, Tim. We got to keep Tom on the right tackle spot for sure. We got to find our future left tackle, whether it's Jordan Morgan, Rasheed Walker. You'd really rather it be probably Jordan Morgan, just because that contract. What I say rather be, it's not to say he's going to be a better tackle. I'm simply saying if you had to choose and that player is better, I would rather it be Jordan Morgan because that contract hit is significantly higher being a first-round pick as opposed to Rasheed Walker, who's a seventh-round pick. So you're set there for 4 years plus that fifth-year option at the most important spot on the offensive line. But I don't think Rasheed Walker is just going to roll over. I think he's going to fight his ass off to win that left tackle spot.
I think that's the best thing that could happen too, is he shows up to camp like you ain't taking my spot, and then we have a good problem. We have to find out what to do with this other talent. And we talked about Jordan Morgan. The big high point is his footwork, and I think playing on the tackle position, the footwork is obviously it's important anywhere on the line, but you want a guy with good feet on your tackles, and that may be what gets guys past the fact that his arms are a little short. It's like, well, he can make up for that with excellent footwork, and like Stenovich was talking about, improving the hands and the hand position, get the hand fighting down, combined with good footwork. Who cares if your arms are a couple inches short? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, definitely. Jeff Silke in the chat says, Clayton, the feet count more than the arms. Completely agree, man. There's been plenty of people make it in the NFL with shorter arms. There have been almost zero make it who have bad feet, right? It's just not – that's just something that's foundationally offensive lineman has got to have good technique, good feet. There's no doubt about that. So good conversation. Let's get to the Patreon question here real quick. And this came in from Randy Cleavers over at Patreon. Appreciate you. And anyone who wants to join our Patreon group, there's a link in the description of the video to send you to that. If you are one of the 3-tier members, we're going to put you guys in the drawing actually this Thursday when the schedule releases. We're going to be giving away an autographed football. It's autographed by the Golden Boy, Paul Hornung. So make sure if that's something you're interested in entering, like I said, just click on the link in the video description or go to patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access. We appreciate everybody in there, obviously supporting us in Patreon. But Randy Cleavers says, Eric Sutherland says, rigged. Randy Cleavers says, Clayton, this came from the Patreon group. Clayton, now that Stokes is supposedly healthy, does he keep his job? We have some prospects that could unseat him. Would you agree? You guys know pretty much how I feel about Eric Stokes. Even before the injury, I've been really, really underwhelmed. And, again, when you got someone who is supposed to be a great man cover corner and they just have kind of mediocre ball tracking skills, that's a problem, right? There's so many times that they hit back shoulders on him where they would throw a deep 9 route and he was just late getting his head around. He's got all the athleticism in the world if he fully recovers from the injuries. It's just I've always been hesitant. Again, the old saying, show me your checkbook and your calendar, and I'll show you where your priorities lie. The Packers just declined that fifth-year option, right? So it tells you all you need to know of how they feel about Eric Stokes. Now, if Eric Stokes comes out this year and he absolutely lights it up, yes, there's a chance that they re-sign him, obviously. Probably going to get to test the market, I would imagine, though. And I actually had that article pulled up here just to kind of show you Eric Stokes' fifth-year option as the 29th overall pick there for Green Bay. His fifth-year option got declined. It was going to be worth $12.4 million. So what it tells you is it doesn't mean the Packers don't like him. It just means they think he's not worth $12.4 million, right? It's that simple. So How do you guys feel about it? We'll go around the horn here once with that, Tim. How do you feel about Eric Stokes? Do you think he holds on to his job? Do you think he may be Val King, one of these young whippersnappers steps in here and maybe takes it from him?
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. But Stokes is a good dude. He's a good guy to be around when you're at
great locker room guy, right?
Yeah, he's a great leader, great locker room guy. But yeah, unfortunately, the drawback is he's got some issues with ball tracking, especially in the deep coverage situations. He seems to be there, but we're getting completions on him because he's not getting his head around. I feel like that's something that can be coached up, but I also feel like you're in the NFL. You should probably know how to track a football in the air at this point. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of depth already and a lot of young, hungry players that want to take that spot. But I will say this, much like we said about Zay McDuffie at linebacker, I feel like Stokes is kind of one of those guys too, where it's like, well, I wouldn't be thrilled with him starting, but he'd be a great backup. And if he had to start in a pinch, it's not the end of the world. I don't feel like he's a full-on liability at corner. Stokes had a pretty good year his rookie year. I think the injury bug just bit him really hard, and he's been working his way back. I think we're going to get at least a chance to see what he's got. He's obviously going to be, that opposite corner, with the ones probably to start. But I do think there's a chance that somebody comes up and snatches that job from him. But you got, like you said, Clayton, it's a contract year. We know they're not picking up the option on him. He knows that. There's no secrets. So really, and I'm sure Eric Stokes would agree if he was on the pod with us right now, the only thing he can do is go out there and bust his ass and play. That's it. That's all that's left to do. So we got to at least give him that opportunity. So we'll see what happens.
Definitely. Greg Rice says if he balls out, isn't that worth $12 million? Absolutely. But when you're building a roster too, you got to make a decision. There's only so much money to go around, right? And I know the cap can be manipulated on a year-to-year basis, but you're already paying Jair top cornerback money, right? Yeah. So, when you're building a roster, typically they're looking at, okay, what are the premier positions, right? I personally don't see cornerback as a premier position. I see edge and 1 to 3 technique on the defensive line, right? That interior defensive lineman. That's what I see as tier 1. And then tier 2, I personally think middle linebacker and post safety, right? We seem to have shored post safety up with Xavier McKinney, although there are going to be some rotation, right? But with the middle linebacker, obviously we're still waiting. Is Quay going to really flourish in this defense here? Is Edgerrin Cooper going to be the real deal? Is Kenny Clark going to be that tier 1 of importance defensive tackle that we need? Right. I think we're good at edge, but yeah, as far as Eric Stokes though, that's the only issue I have with is like when you're constructing that roster, are you okay with paying starter money to 2 different corners? Right. If you do, it's going to come out of somebody else's pocket, and any day now, really, it may be training camp, it might be in the next month or two. Before training camp starts, you're going to be paying Jordan Love a good chunk of change. So you got to kind of take that in consideration too. But what do you think, Emilio? You think Eric Stokes? You think he's worth $12 million if he does ball out?
I don't know if I could put weight behind that. My hope is that he's been watching a lot of tape. He knows that he's getting burned over the shoulders. He knows that he's seen all of his bad things. He's worked for 2 years now on rehabbing at this point, and if the dude, if it's not going to happen now, there's a slim chance it happens moving forward. So for his sake, I would love for him to ball out. For the team's sake, I would love for him to ball out. The problem is if that doesn't come then we got ourselves caught in a bubble if we paid that $12 million. So I mean, I think it's the best case scenario for the team, and honestly, a decent case for Eric Stokes. I mean, you've had those injuries. You've been out for almost 2 years now. You had a decent rookie season, but you haven't been able to prove anything, and you're already on the last year of your deal. Right. It's either now or never, either way. So I think he's not mad about it. I think he just kind of knows where he needs to be now moving forward.
Definitely. To wrap it back around to offensive line talk, Deadfish comes in with the facts here. Appreciate you, Deadfish. He says Rasheed Walker has 33 and 5/8 inch arms and an 80.5 inch wingspan. Jordan Morgan has not that wingspan, Tim. Damn it. Jordan Morgan has 32 and 7/8 inch arms and 81.25 inch wingspan. So essentially, Rasheed Walker has longer arms to the tune of a little over, I guess, an inch, if I'm reading that correctly. And the wingspan, though, Jordan Morgan has longer wingspan, which is pretty wild to think about that those two things differ, but I guess it makes sense.
Got a bigger torso.
Yeah.
Means he's a better wall there. Protect that blind side. That's what I love to see.
I immediately thought of Theo Vaughn when he said, I got the rib cage of a large cat. And he said the heart of and I won't say the last part, but you guys go look it up. Just type in Theo Vaughn rib cage of a large cat, and I promise you will cackle. That dude is such a nut. But anyway, he is correct. Correct. All right. So thank you, Dead Fish, for those measurables, buddy. We appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, we're splitting hairs here, right? Like, is that even like, if we're comparing these two guys? Like,
yeah, less than an inch in the arms, and then over an inch in the span, or less than an inch in the span. I mean, it doesn't mean anything.
I hope they both ball out. I hope they're just both monsters.
Right. Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. And again, if his footwork is that good, his technique is that good, and he can still work his hands, even though he's got a slight disadvantage with reach. They could kind of balance each other out, and it could be, like you said, a neck and neck race there, right? Let's see here. M. Smitty says, I will say Mike Wall felt the conversation on arm length is not really a big deal, more of an off-season talking point. I hope that's the case because, hearing Greg Cosell talk about it and how coaches across the league, I could pull that clip up too, where he was talking about Jordan Morgan. The reason they were a little bit down on him is it's like, offensive line coaches across the league disagree with that comment. Like they really hold that arm length in high regard, but I sure hope it isn't a big issue because Jordan Morgan, man, he seems to have everything else.
We're not building the foundation of a house, right? So if we're an inch off, it doesn't matter. I don't think that it's that big of a deal that the dude, we can make that happen. That if he's good at playing football, that's what matters. They said the thing about D-Bot. Exactly.
Speaking of building
3, 4, 5 triangles, make sure it's square and the whole thing's off.
Oh, broke up the 3, 4, 5, my man. Knows all the secrets over here. All right, that's enough of that trash. What are we doing with our life? All right.
All I've been hearing too is Home Depot commercials. I just want to say, I know Jacob mentioned it, but
I told you, man, I'm humming it all day, dude. Love it. Here was Greg Cosell talking about one of his favorite prospects going into this year's draft in Javon Bullard. You guys know he got a bonus on the reason he rose up my board so high. One of the reasons because Greg Cosell was so high on him pre-draft. So obviously he had Tyler Nubin as his top safety. I'm pretty sure Greg Cosell had Javon Bullard as his second best safety, which matched up perfect with our board. The only difference was there was other safeties above Oladapo. However, on my board, I had Oladapo as the third best safety, if I remember correctly. So really excited about that pick too once he heals up that toe. But here is Greg Cosell, the civilian GOAT, on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast earlier today, talking about Javon Bullard.
On Bullard earlier from Georgia, he was one of your guys as well, Greg.
Yeah, I love Javon Bullard. Javon Bullard to me was maybe not quite as good, but somewhat similar in many ways to Brian Branch of Alabama from a year ago. 2 years ago in 2022, Bullard was the slot.
Did he just say Brian Branch, my draft crush from last year? I think he did.
Corner for Georgia. This year, he was a safety. And I think this guy just, besides the obvious versatility, simply because of the change of position, this guy just understands how to play. He's not the best athlete, just like Branch wasn't the best athlete. Although I think Bullard ran better than people probably thought that he would run. His other athletic testing measurables were by no means off the charts. But this guy he's not twitchy. He's not sudden. You wouldn't say he's got super loose hips. But this guy is a smart, savvy player. You can see the higher level football intelligence, great recognition instincts, sees the game incredibly well. And, he can play in the slot. This year, they matched him up, even though he was a safety. When they played Missouri, they matched him up to Luther Burden, who's probably going to be a top 10 or top 15 pick next year in the 2025 draft. So he can do that. So I just really liked the way he played. He saw the game really, really well.
Love it, man.
You can slot.
Exactly. And that versatility is going to be huge. And maybe they'll use him like the Lions use Brian Branch right now. Keyshawn's going to have something to say about that. And again, here's another position we're talking about. There's going to be a ton of competition, right? So I'm really excited about Javon Bullard. I'm probably more excited about Javon Bullard than I am Edgerrin Cooper, to be honest with you. And I'm really excited about Edgerrin Cooper. His tape was a lot of fun to watch, but Javon Bullard just kind of looks like he's ready to step right in and play a role. And again, I know I'm probably going to get roasted for saying it, but if you see it, you got to say it. When I watched this tape, I just thought of Nick Collins. And again, I'm always going to try to compare him to a Packer of the past because that's who I watch the most is the Green Bay Packers. He just reminds me a lot of Nick Collins. I hope he lives up to that for sure. So there you go. Eric Sutherland, I swear. Dude, I've been watching your reaction to Amelia. I could tell you're reading the chat, and we'll be in the middle of a serious conversation.
I'm going to be honest. The chat has been off the rails tonight. Even I've been taking a lot of strays from the chat.
Coach Lynn in the chat says Bullard can unlock our whole defense. Completely agree, especially if he can, like I said, kick into the slot and then play, safety opposite of Xavier McKinney in the base when we are in base. Going to be a lot of fun to see how he comes out. And again, the biggest thing that gives me the most hope with Javon Bullard is everyone talked about in the draft process how intelligent he is. He's got high FBI, what we call football IQ. But at the same time, you hear Jeff Hafley talking about he had him in there for 3 days, and he's like, man, he's really intelligent. Like he understands the game of football. I think Coach Haft and Javon Bullard are going to be attached at the hips, no doubt. So
it's like we got experience and skill on the perimeter on the defense, in the secondary and on the front line and stuff like that. But then interwoven in between the entire perimeter of that defense is just athletes that want to play football and young athletes that are excited about it. So Hafley is going to cook up some schemes. And even if it could be the most simple defense. If they want to play, if they want to tackle, if everyone flows to the ball, that's really what's going to make the difference. That little stuff like that.
Definitely. Johnny in the chat says Bullard is thick.
Thick.
He is. Coach Half agrees. It's actually who he was talking about when he said that too. But you gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right, let's get ready to get out of here. Before we do, if you guys would, please hit that like button for us on YouTube. That'll help boost the algorithm, help other Packer fans find this channel, find this content. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Those of you on Twitter, you can also click on my Twitter profile. You'll see a YouTube link there. Send you directly to our YouTube channel, and you can go over there and sub. And a little bit easier interface to communicate in the chat over there. But we appreciate y'all hanging out here on X as well.
Swing over to Rumble as well. We also got Rumble Live as well. We do have like 15, 20 in there. So it's growing, man.
Yeah, Rumble's cranking, man. It's a lot of fun. And again, we just try to bring you as many platforms as we can.
Right.
Because I know everybody has their preferences. So, Tim, you got anything else, buddy? Anything else you want to hit on before we wrap up here? Obviously, we didn't get to the fifth-year option conversation, but that's the way it goes.
I'm fired up for tomorrow. Chalk Talk. Javon Bullard, right? Let's go.
Or, no, Marshawn Lloyd. Yeah.
Marshawn Lloyd tomorrow. That's right. We already did Bullard. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Running back talk. I like it.
Yeah, he was a fun watch. And again, you're going to see a lot of power run, a lot of GT power there. They ran a ton of RPO game out at USC as well with Lincoln Riley. But, man, it's going to be a fun watch. So, yeah, that's what we'll do tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Emilio, you got anything, bub?
Well, Cal, I'm not sure if I've seen you in here. Appreciate you commenting. New kickoff rule, and we got a bunch of guys that tackle. Watch these guys will be on kickoff team. And on top of that, I like that take just because that new kickoff rule, you're 15 yards from the dude. You can't give me 100%, 110% effort for 15 yards. You don't even have to run the field. That was the worst part was you had to run all the way down there and then go on defense and start playing. If you giving me a 10-yard shot and all I got to do is slip through and I get to smoke somebody, let's go. So I like that as well, too. Fast athletes that want to hit, perfect.
Yep. We'll probably see a lot less blocking in the back too with this scenario. I would think a lot of just head on head straight up.
Don't get me wrong, Tim. You can line some people up with some of those crackbacks. I'm telling you, I've gotten snot bubbles before from some of those, but like I am excited to see what happens with it. But dude, if you could get your athletes and like number one players out there for 10-yard sprint, that's fine, dude. You're not going to be tired after that. It's one more play.
Yeah,
instead of having to run 40 yards, and be done with it.
Yeah, Coach Lynn says, how about Marshawn Lloyd at kickoff return? That's what Goody mentioned, right? He's got some return ability. So, and it's going to be more of a run and play now, man. There's no two ways about that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, here we go. Let's get out of here. You guys got anything else? We good?
I I think we're good.
All right.
Chat's
we're gonna get out of here for the chat.
has
Yeah,
been
it's
killing
toxic. I love it.
For those of you listening on the pod,
Thank you,
Jacob. Thank you for making us a part of your day. Guys, don't forget, if you want to enter yourself into the contest to win the autographed football, autographed by Paul Hornung, make sure you click on the Patreon link there in the YouTube video description. That'll send you over there. We really appreciate everybody. The support we've gotten has just been unbelievable here on YouTube. Like I said, on Rumble, the channel's growing like crazy, man. We kind of crack back through the algorithm. It's just growing every single day. We're getting multiple subs a day. It's going to be really cool to see where we're at the end of the year. Something else I'm thinking about doing, guys, when we get through the rookie chalk talks that we're going to do, we're probably still going to have a little bit of time. We're going to hit on history for sure. I definitely want to continue doing what we were doing there with the Legacy documentary. But also, I'm thinking we might go back. One thing I like to do before training camp gets started every year, or even leading up to training camp, during training camp, is I like to go back the previous year and kind of get a quick refresher on what happened. So I was going to see what you guys thought about us possibly going back and pulling the highlights from each week last year and just kind of reliving it real quick in real time on the show, breaking it down. Okay, here's what happened there. Here's what happened there. Here's why we lost that game. Just a kind of quick refresher. And that's what we call self-scouting. Obviously, now it's a much more detailed process for these coaches. They're not going through and watching highlight reels, but that's something that we can just kind of get the Cliff Notes version of a quick refresher going into the season. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So we may try to do that. So we got plenty we could talk about for sure, but we definitely want to get back to history a little bit too during the break, because what's going to happen is before training camp, you're going to have these little mini camps pop up here and there. But there's going to be a little bit of time before training camp for sure. So we'll try to fill that with some meaningful Packer talk rather than just bitching and moaning that other people are creating content like we seen somebody do on Twitter the other night. I'm sure y'all seen that exchange with Baz, but golly, dude, that just blew my mind, man. That people, they will take someone else's effort who's just creating daily content for us Packer fans, which, by the way, everybody loves Basarowski Productions. They love it. Yeah. Like, his channel is cranked to the gills because people love Baz. They love the content. They can't get enough year-round Packers talk. You got some damn knucklehead going to come here and go, oh, this is pointless. Okay, buddy. Got you.
Thanks, gatekeeper.
2 cents.
Yep.
And it's always the same people, too, that think they're the gatekeepers. Like, we'll tell you when it's time to follow the Packers. Okay, get out of here, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, there's my mini rant. But
country was built on people getting up out of the chair, right, Clayton, and go to work?
That's right. That's right, Emilio. You tell them. We'll talk about it. All right. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Again, for those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack Go.
The power sweep. Actually, it's the lead play in our offense. Yes, a YN or a tight end to open up somewhere between 6 feet and 9 feet. Get an isolation with the linebacker. You tell the tackle to take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, to drive down on the first man to his inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here. And try to run this play in the alley.